Halo, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 2. Today we are going to explain about Lexeme formation. Um, have you ever heard the words like head bracelet or autoclave? You might don't know exactly what that means, but you can make a good guess. In this chapter, we're going to look the most common ways of forming new lexemes in English or even in another language around the world. We will learn how to analyze the word into the component parts and see how those parts are organized and how the words parts contribute to their meanings. Kind of morpheme. Morpheme is the smallest unit of the words. Some of them can stand alone and some of them cannot stand alone. Some of them that can stand alone it's called free morpheme. Free morpheme it's like hat, bracelet, auto, and clef, or anything. Um, and then the morpheme that cannot stand alone is like un, like eyes, like Asian, just like that. Oh yeah, the morpheme that cannot stand alone, it's called bound morpheme. Bound morphemes comes with different varieties, like prefix and suffix. Prefix come before the base of the word, yeah, and the suffix comes after the base of the words. Prefix and suffix can be grouped as a affix. Okay, prefix. Prefix. The example of prefix is un. Simply means not, like unhappy. While suffix ish. Example of suffix ish, reddish or warmish, simply means sort of. Now lexemes that are formed with prefix and suffix on the base are often referred to as derived words, and the form process is called derivation. The derivational morpheme is when affix form the words with a different category from the base.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Anissa Paluseri. I will explain about affixation. Affixation is the process of beginning a morpheme or affix to a word to create either a different form of that word or a new word with a different meaning. Two primary kinds of affixation are prefix and suffix. Prefix that's adding prefix that's added to the beginning of word. They can make a word negative or show repetition and indicate opinion. For example, some of most common prefix in English language are this, in, and an, which words make negative. For example, adding prefix an to the word kind creates a word unkind. It means not good. Another common prefix is re. Indicate repetition. For example, adding re to the word boiled creates rebuild. It means to build again. And then suffix add to or change a word's meaning. Others can signal the word's part of speech or indicate verb tense. For example, some common suffix are add, ing, and li. The suffix at change verb to the past tense. The ing suffix makes the verb take place in the present. And then the suffix li is commonly added in onto adjective to form adverb. For example, joyful, and then quickly, and then loudly. I think that's it from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to explain about compounding. Okay, what is compounding? Compounding is the process of combining two or more words to form a new word. Many language also forms words by a process called compounding. In English, we generally use three bases to compose compounds as the examples, like compounds of two nouns. For example, like bookstore, dog bed, and next, compound of two adjectives, like red hot, blue green, and next, compounds of an adjective and a noun, greenhouse, blackboard, and the last, compounds of a noun and an adjective, sky blue, cherry red, and rock hard. Okay, next, when do we have a compound? So, English, there is no fixed way to spell a compound word. Okay, for example, like greenhouse as written for one word. Next, like dog bed as written two words. Next, producer director as written with hyphen and have two dash words. Okay, next, about the structure of compound. Yes. Okay, we can represent that structure. There is the form of word tree. And compound, of course, need not be limited to two bases. And some compounds can be ambiguous and therefore can be represented by more than one structure. As you guys can see, it is the structure, the different structure of Arctic cat observer. Often, the more complex the compound is, the greater the possibility of multiple interpretation and therefore multiple structures. Okay, next, the type of compounds. The first one is attribute compound. With attribute compounds, the first element might express just about any relationship with the head. For example, between a school book and a yearbook. A school book is a book used at school, but a yearbook is a record of school activity in 1 year. Okay, the next type is coordinative compounds. For coordinative compound, we can say that both elements are semantic head. Usually, a word of coordinative compounds use a hyphen yeah, like um, producer, director, and doctor, patient, and etc. Okay, well, next the type is um, subordinated compounds. What is subordinated compounds? Okay, subordinated compound is interpret as the argument of the other, usually as its object. Okay, for example, like with ER, hand mixer, and with EAU, food shopping, with Asian, ATION, home invasion, and the last example with named MEINT, post consignment. Okay, the next type is endocentric and exocentric. Well, we can further divide attributive, coordinative, and subordinative compounds into endocentric and exocentric varieties. Okay. In endocentric compounds, the reference of the compound is always the same as the reference of its head. And endocentric compounds of all three types are illustrated. Okay, well, as you guys can see in your book, page 49, is the type of compound that is endocentric and exocentric. And well, the structure of all three types are illustrated, like attribute, coordinative, and subordinative. Okay. Okay, that's all my explanation about compound. Thank you. The structure of all three types are illustrated, like attribute, coordinative, and subordinative. Okay. Okay, that's all my explanation about compound. Thank you.
Okay, about compounding. So, derivation is not the only way to forming a new word, and in many languages, also form words by a process called compounding. Compounds are words that are composed of two or more like bases, roots, and stems. In English, we generally use three bases to compose compounds. And when do we have a compound? Honestly, in many cases, it's not easy to come up with a single criterion that can work in all cases. Spelling is not really help at all. In English, there is no fixed way to spell a compound word. And when do we have a compound? When two words are used together to yield a new meaning, like a compound is formed. Compound words can be written in three ways, and like as upon compounds, like spell as two words like ice cream, and close compounds join to form a single word, like doorknob, and the third is hyphenate compounds, like two words joined by a hyphen like producer, director. Okay, the second is compound structure. We can look at compounds and having internal structure in precisely the same way that derived words do. And we can represent that structure in the tree. For example, like the page 44 in the book Morphology, you can see the compounds windmill and hardhead would have the structure like this. You can see this? Yes. Compounds, of course, need be limited to two bases. Compounding is what is called a recursive process, in the sense that a compound of two bases can be compounded with another base. and this compounded with still another base, so that we can eventually obtain very complex compounds like paper towel dispenser factory building commit report. As with different words, it is possible to show the internal structure of complex compounds using word trees, like this. I'm so sorry that I can explain the material be better, so I will continue my explain. The third is types of compounds. Types of compounds have three types, and the first type is open compound, and the second is closed compound, and the third is high compound. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you very much. If you have a question, please share. I'm sorry.
Okay, now I'm going to explain about minor processes. What is minor processes? Minor processes is a process which used to form a word by taking, adding, removing, or even changing the structure of word or words. So there are 5 word formation in minor processes. Okay, the first one is coinage. Coinage is a word formation process in which a new word is created, either deliberately or accidentally. The coinage by inventing the entirely new word called neology. The example of neology is blivet. Blivet is an intractable problem. And then the coinage by using the name of person or place called eponym. The example of eponym is Fahrenheit. Okay, the second is back formation. Back formation is a process to form a new word by removing the affixes. It could be prefix or suffix. The example of back formation is editor. The edit from the word editor. And the third is blending. Blending is a process to form a new word by combining two existing words. The example of blending is brunch. Brunch from the word breakfast and lunch, and motel. Motel is the combination from motor and hotel. Okay, the fourth is acronyms and initialisms. Acronyms is how we pronounce the abbreviation into one word. The example of acronyms is LOL. LOL is laugh of love. While initialisms is how we pronounce the abbreviation by pronouncing only the first serious letter. The example of initialisms is AKA. AKA is also known as.
Okay, the last one is clipping. Clipping is a process to form a new word by shortening the existing word. The example of clipping is the word fridge the word fridge is the shorten of the word refrigerator. Okay, the last subtopic is how to morphological analysis. Uh, there is one strategy that's often good to use is to look for other words which you already recognize piece. Uh, it means that the meaning of that strategy is, take the example like uh, if we if we anal if we analyze some words from the other language and then try to analyze the example word 1, the example word 2, and then the example word 3, and find the gloss of each those words, and then you notice that there is overlap of those words. That is the meaning of this strategy, to look for uh, which you already recognize piece. That is the only strategy that often and good